Lord, we do it big. Do it like we doing.
Pastor Tony Smith and Victorious Ministries give voice to a man's heart. This is Real Talk from real men, discussing life's concerns from a godly man's point of view. Buckle up for 30 minutes of discussion where we'll highlight current events.
Every day I'm waking up, I know the reason why.
And even push the envelope now and then. This is Man Up.
Hey, this is Pastor Tony Smith, and I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm excited about being connected to this incredible network that's allowing us to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with you. It is so good to team up with a network that wants to help the community and push the community to great signs and wonders. So we have some programming that we want to share with you, and we're going into the program right now.
Hello, welcome to Man Up. I'm Deacon Chris.
I'm MIT John.
What's up? I'm Minister Rock.
I'm Deacon Stewart.
I'm Deacon Miles.
And I'm Pastor Marcus.
And these are the Temptations.
How y'all doing?
What's up?
What's going on, brother?
Doing good. Doing good. All right.
Deacon Chris.
I was gonna say something about the youth. That water supposed to be good. Hey, tonight's show, we are talking about why is it hard to get men to come back to church? All right. We're gonna talk about why do they leave, and then how do we get them back?
Oh wow!
So here, let's talk about why do you think it's hard for men to like be in church?
I'll start with the fact that most men, it's difficult for them because they become in charge. They're fathers, some of them are husbands. You know, they feel they're big enough and bad enough to do what they want, that when they come to church and hear where they have to be submissive to God, and if they're a member of the church, to the authority of that house, that can sometimes be challenging for a man because he feel like, you know, I fought my whole life to get to the place where I can make my own decisions, and now I'm finding out that somebody's trying to instruct me. They no longer want to be a student because they feel like now they're the teacher.
Yeah.
And I come from the other side. You got a lot of men that come to church and they really want to come and they want to be here, but they feel like they're being judged on how they're coming. You know, because you got to be real about it. You have people that's you call seasoned Christians, but they forget where they come from, and instead of welcoming them in, they tend to judge. So they feel like if you telling me to come to God, then why I feel like I'm being judged, or you know, for how I'm coming or when I get here.
Most men, to me, don't come from not gonna say most men, but a lot of guys that, may come from the street, might come from a background where, like Pastor Marcus was saying, not actually giving up their territory of themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they don't really want no other man. To them, they feel like the man is leading their life, and once they have, been in the world or been in the street, and then they might feel that, like you said earlier, that I've even heard dudes say, man, I don't want no man telling me what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, but really it's from the aspect of, they ain't telling you what to do in your everyday life. They're telling you how to deal with certain things spiritually that will govern your everyday life. You know what I mean? And but that take a person that just want to be open to be able to, come to Christ or what have you.
And sometimes men don't want to come to church because you have that woman that's in Christ, quote unquote. She won't come home and she won't be hitting him in the head with the word from the man of God. He don't even know the man of God. And he don't even like him because when she coming home telling him, this is what he told me, this is what we should be doing in our house, not knowing that a man is territorial in his house. Yeah. The only thing you should be doing is praying for him and hopefully that he will come to Christ.
What about you, Minister? I really want to hear your point of view, Minister. Like, really, man?
I think.
Let me tell you the reason why. Because people that you just you're a big dude and you huh? No, but you would. I really want to hear your point of view because you have a very strong dominant personality and you here. So
okay,
give me your.
I think a lot of guys are afraid of change, and because most people know, well, in the guy's head, he know when he come, something supposed to happen. Like I'm gonna lose control. I mean, basically the same thing we all saying, but the man of God telling you what to do. It's gonna be some rules. It's just gonna be change, period. And everybody know you come to church, you coming for. Even guys that don't even go to church, they know church is supposed to do something, some kind of change.
Right.
So whatever lifestyle they in, that's what they. I feel like that's what they. Cause that was me. You know what I mean? So coming, if you have a wife, you know something will have to change in your marriage. If you're hustling, you know you're gonna have to get this up because you don't want you.
Can't do both.
That's what I'm saying.
And you know, another thing in conversation with a few dudes is that dudes look at folks in church like hypocrites. You know what I mean? So that's another thing, that if you ain't showing me nothing different about you, you know what I mean?
That's
you
good.
come out here, you go to church and you still hustle.
So
what I need to go there for? You know what I mean? You go to church and you still dancing at the club.
Yeah.
What I need to go there. I mean, that's like one of the biggest things out there that they may look at, because somebody probably on the line for them, because y'all hypocrites, saying it to the TV right now, you know what I mean? But like I say, I think that that's one of the things that, why dudes are troubled to come. They ain't scared to come to church. That's a barrier that they deal with, what prevents them from coming.
I was gonna ask y'all, do you think, because I was wrapping my mind around it, thinking, do you think men think it's not necessary? Because a lot of times men, we're kind of straight to the point. We don't like wasting time. And from what I'm hearing, it's like if you telling me about church, but you doing the same thing that I'm doing, it must not be necessary. So do you think that's part of it, that they think is really?
I do think that plays a part, but I think that when you look at most men, their mentality is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You take a man in his health. Unless it's broke, he ain't really going to the doctors or the hospital. If it's something that he can just, I just tough it out, then I'll tough it out. So to feel like I need God, something has to be tragically wrong for me to be like, I'm going to church.
Right.
Man, because if it's okay, I can. As a man, I feel like I'm whining if I'm reaching out for help, and especially as a boy, you train me, don't be crying and don't be asking for stuff and all that. So you teach me independence as a boy, which later in life can become a hindrance because there's no balance to it. So now I become a man, and I do need, but I won't even ask because my pride that's been instilled in me as a child. That as a man, you don't ask for that. You just deal with it, or you know what I mean. So that reaching out for help will make a man feel soft, and then they look at church as being emotional because they don't have a relationship. So if it's emotional, I ain't trying to be in there, be all crying. Then I'm gonna get in there and like, what, I'm gonna be shouting and running around, jumping and all that. I ain't doing all that. I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
So that's the mentality that some men have.
But until they get here, though, Pastor, you know what I mean? It's steps you gotta take when you come to a ministry. All us up here didn't come. I don't know, maybe you not. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. He was born safe. But we all the cover.
When he came out with his legs crossed.
But we all had our ordeals how we came to church, and we just ain't get here like this, and we still have faults. So y'all there, TV land, don't think that we don't have issues, because we all do. If anybody say they don't, they lying. They lying, because God always gonna take you in steps. And where you see us at now, we still building what we doing with our ministry and our families. So it's a process.
What I want to do, because I want to, at the end, I want to take like the last part of the show to really give them reasons why they should come, right? Why they need a church home. So let's go to this. Why do you think they leave? So why? Okay, so let's say let's say when they're here, but why do you think they leave?
I think a lot of times, a lot of men will leave because of pride. And what I mean by pride is, okay, most people, the reason that you're coming to church is because you want to be better. Evidently, you want a relationship with Christ and you want to be Christ-like.
Right.
At the end of the day, whenever I don't meet the mark, whenever I fail at being Christ-like, my pride won't let me say I'm not doing a good job and I need help. So I'll rather just stay away than to come and be like, look, man, I can't get this right. I'm trying. I ain't doing a good job. Because then that's, to me, as a man, admitting failure. And that's something that's difficult for men to do, to admit failure. So they will run rather than seek help.
I think a lot of times, too, men leave because it's a thin line of serving the man of God and serving God. And a lot of times they get in there and they put more focus on the man of God instead of what he's saying, instead of what God is saying through him. So what they fail to understand is that all of us is still men. So at the end of the day, all of us fall short. So even the man of God falls short. But if they start to serve that man of God, then they feel like the man of God had let him down or he's lying. But he's not. He's giving you the word from God to you. But he's still a man, so he still have fault as well. So you have a lot of them. If I'm serving this man of God and I'm looking at him as he is God, so as soon as something happens or it wavers, then I feel betrayed.
Okay.
Because
Right,
I'm
right.
like, you telling me this and that. You understand what I'm saying? But then you go do that. But that's why pastor always say, don't take my word for it. The Bible says, study my word to show yourself approved. You know what I mean? So he's giving the word, but you gotta look at him as just a vessel in giving the word. So you don't get caught up on serving him and making him God. So a lot of men get hurt through that as well.
I think they need to. A lot of guys, we got to have a ministry where, like we try to do, they don't feel welcome. Definitely, if they, you know what I mean, church can be real judgmental. You know what I'm saying? So, especially men, when men come into something, not to be baby, but at the same time, it's like if you just don't say nothing to them,
That's true.
and then they only see 5 men, or they come in looking for who they are. You got a working guy, and all he see is ex-thugs, or a thug, he coming in, he think all he see is like working guys. He can't relate. Men tend to feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And then they leave. Because, of course, the women, they not going to just go because, you know, you don't want them to think, I'm trying to holler at you, or something like that. So women they can minister to a man, but you know what I'm saying? When they first come in the doors, it's our job. And a lot of churches just don't have that.
Right, right.
That's good, sir.
That's good. What I was gonna say was kind of what Deacon Coach had said earlier, that in the Bible it says a fool runs from correction. You said it one time, MIT. Wise man likes counsel. No, he said it on the show before.
He said it all the time.
Yeah. Why you mess me up? But no, it's like, but pastor most pastors have more than one role. So for example, our pastor is a prophet, he's a father, and he's a pastor. So a lot of times, there may be times where it calls for correction.
Right. That's great.
And and that's where that pride jump up. You know, who he talking to, you know, he a man just like me, and he's coming from the father and father point of view, and father, you know, representing our father. So I think that's another reason. But we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about how can we get them back, how we get the men back, and then close out on why they need to stay. So we want to thank Pastor Tony Smith of Victorious Ministries for sponsoring Man Up. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Excellent, bro.
We are Victorious Ministries International, located in Baltimore, Maryland. Victorious Ministries is the place where the Word of God is impacting, and it's sure to make a difference in your life. Where our founder and senior pastor is none other than Pastor Tony Smith. Come and reverence the Spirit in powerful worship as we set the atmosphere for miracles, signs, and wonders. It's sure to be an experience you don't want to miss. So get connected and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Victorious Ministries International, 4617 York Road, Baltimore, Maryland, where the Lion of Judah reigns.
Hey, welcome back. We want to thank Pastor Tony Smith of Victorious Ministries for sponsoring Man Up. What are you sponsoring? He did that after he betrayed it. So. But what we want to do now, we want to talk about what can we do to get the men back. What can we do to get the men back, get back to church?
I would say be yourself. That's the first thing I would say. I mean, don't try to be, as men, trying to get them back. Don't try to be what you aren't. You know what I mean? Because, real recognize real. You know what I mean? And they can see right through it. You know what I mean? They can see if you're phony with it, and then you somewhere else and you being something else. For me, for example, I don't try to, go overboard, and I don't try to overfeed people with the word. Wherever they are, we got to know how to approach them. We got to know how to talk to them. And even if they left, we can just give them an encouraging word. I miss you. I'm rooting for you. I like to see you in there. Hey, when you gonna come back and holler at us? Just come through, man. I don't come past that place no more. Well, don't think about the place. Just come get the word. You was getting fed before when you was there. Come on by and get a meal. They can understand that. But, if you walk past, I heard people say, if a person left the church, I ain't gonna be their friend no more. Oh, that ain't kingdom. If they leave and then you now no longer don't speak to them because they left, then you wasn't real from the start. So if they leave, still show them love. Still, especially if they, they left a relationship of 4 walls. That don't mean that they left God. Our job is to always keep them encouraged to continue to stay with God. Because they just got to learn how to get back into church. To get fed, because just like if your refrigerator run out of food and you no longer got food, you're gonna starve. That means then you're gonna become desperate and start doing crazy things for yourself to eat. So you gotta continue to keep yourself fed, with the word, or somebody gotta feed you with the word, because even though you reading the word, you may not receive the revelation of the word. That's why you need somebody to preach the word to you. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, God had died for our sins. Men need to realize, even if you come to church and you fall short of His glory, God still has His hands out to you, welcome you back in. He knew you was gonna fall. You just gotta be man enough to say, well, I fell and I did whatever I did, and come to the altar and fall and give it to Him, and don't worry about everybody else in the room. That's what's wrong with people in church that I see for myself, me personally, that. They think because they did something wrong, they can't come to Christ. And God said the doors are always welcome to you,
Yeah, I think, too, you gotta, we gotta reach out, because sometimes they leave and nobody reach out. So
that's real.
You really don't know why they left. It could be something simple, it could be something major, but you gotta reach out to them to find out what's going on. Some of them might just need that encouragement, where they fell short and they came and you wasn't here and they was looking for you, and that was their last draw, and they just left, but we got to hold ourselves accountable for the men that come in to say, okay, well, he ain't been here in a while. Let me reach out to him to see how he doing and make sure he's straight.
Right.
I ain't calling to beg you to come back. I'm just calling to let you know we're here when you're ready to come back.
Right, that's right.
Because all of us in different places, and you have a set time and place for when you come.
I think one thing, and MIT talk about it a lot, when they come through the door, like I think it's powerful. I've heard Mr. Rock talk about it too, how when the men come in, you address them, hey, what's up? You give them a pound, you give them a handshake, you give them a hug, because they say we're all just big boys, just kids, and a lot of times we don't want to be left out. We want to be part of, included. It's almost like we picking teams and nobody picked this person. They just standing there. So I think we got to get them involved and just let them know that they're necessary. And even I think you or Minister Ross said, hey, I missed you, or something like that. But just to get them involved and let them know that there's a place for them. There's something that they can do. And I really do see that in our ministry, that we're good at getting. We got some different people here. We got some different people. And I saw one guy, he was honor guarding last Sunday. The young guy, he been coming with the young lady, and he was honor guarding last Sunday. Just to get him involved because I think a lot of times when they come in, they just see us as these people. And you may be a person that don't smile or whatever, so they may not know how to approach you. But just as they work with you, they realize that Pastor Marcus is a fool. He's anointed. you know, but he's funny. He has a sense of humor and stuff. So they don't see that when he's up there.
Right.
You know what I mean? But just to get involved, they say, okay, these are like regular dudes, but they're improving. They're focused on getting better, and God is changing them.
You know, that's word, because even when I first came in, when I first got ordained as a minister, one of the pastors took me out on a ride, and I said to myself, now I know I'm crazy, I'm fun, but I was like, how am I gonna be in this car with these people? Because I get in the car, and if I see something funny, I really want to say what it is. And he really gave me some relief when I sat in the car. I was like, I'm just gonna be quiet the whole ride, because now I'm this minister. I don't know how to be.
Yeah.
Because then, it wasn't no training guide on step 1, step 2, step 3. You know what I'm saying? So I got in the car, I'm just like, I'm not even gonna talk. You know what I mean? And he sat next to me, he said, what's your name? I said, Dante. He said, well, we ain't calling you that. You know what I mean? He said, what's your name? He said, what's your rap name? I said, it's Rock. He said, your name Minister Rock. So I didn't even give myself this name.
Wow. Okay.
You know what I mean? Say your name Minister Rock. He said, now let me tell you something. Loosen up. We had fun. Once he told me that, it was a rap. You know what I mean? Okay, we can have fun. Hey, look at that right there. So I started, kicking. Now they laughing, but like you said, when people first come in, when you first come in, you get introduced to God. To you, it's serious because you're saying God is serious.
Yeah.
I don't know how to be when I'm in. I'm just going like this, because I just want to hear the word. But I encourage them. Like you say, come. Because everybody up here got something on. Some folks on the camera and different things like that. Folks have something that's in them that you can enjoy, because people are regular people inside the body of Christ in the church. They're regular.
And man, y'all need to stop being so sensitive, man. Ain't nothing personal. Don't take it personal. Y'all too sensitive. Somebody didn't speak to me. Listen, people don't speak to you every day, but that don't mean I don't love you because I speak to you. Maybe something on my mind. Maybe you ask me, encourage me. You know what I mean? Give me some wisdom or something sometimes. You know what I mean?
I agree with what everybody said. I just think that I'm sorry. That like I said, I always tell the guys, like, me and Coach and Chris, we handle the honor guards and stuff, and I tell them all the time, when guys come in here, man, you see a new face, shake their hand, give them a hug, this, that, and the other. Because through the years, I've heard guys say, and I used to do it all the time, you know what I mean? And guys would just come back and be like, they'd say something to me like, man, I needed that hug. You know what I mean? Or just be like, yo, cool. Because, me, if I'm not smiling, I'm wondering if I ain't smiling.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I try to. It took me a couple years, but I try to make it my business, and I like to joke and act a fool too.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So when they come through, and I make it my business to go hug them, give them, holler at them, this, that, and the other, and we try to get dudes busy as soon as they come in, because as soon as you get them busy, the first thing, there ain't nothing else in here, dude. Ain't too many guys coming here want to go in the kitchen. Yeah. They get on the wall and do some security, this, that, and the other. You're like, man, dudes from the street, I don't want no badge, I ain't no pull out. Come on, man, it's something different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Then when they get Miles get the cracking on them.
You tell you got a license to beat up somebody with a bad badge.
So yeah.
I think that sometimes when you're trying to get a man to come back to church, you got to get him first to recognize that it's not about church. It's about relationship. It's not about religion. And sometimes that's what gets messed up, because they build relationships with the wrong people. You build a relationship with Christ before you build a relationship with people. And a lot of men, real talk, try to build that relationship with a woman in the church, because we that's a part that we ain't addressed yet, women. And so a lot of men are coming to church for women because they done got that, that slogan that, you want a good woman, go to the church, and they get to the church and find out it's the same woman that I seen.
She in everybody's video.
Different outfit.
Different everybody's video.
And praise Jesus.
Man, I ain't really sure what's going on. And so, I'm confused. But the thing is about building a relationship with Christ, because that's what the whole church experience is for, to have a relationship with Christ. And if we concentrate on getting people to build their relationship and stop trying to build their fellowship, people will stay. Because once your relationship is strong, you'll change your fellowship if that fellowship ain't working. But if you build fellowship before you build a relationship, when that fellowship ain't working, you leave in the church. Because that's all you got.
That's all you got.
That's all you got is that fellowship. So if me and you, if I come in and you the first dude that I connect with, then me and you stop dealing, I ain't coming to church because I don't want to deal with you.
And that's like 80% of the thing though. But if you realize it's even guys that come, of course that they come to chase the women, but like woman-to-woman friendships and stuff like that's what be going on all the time though.
Weird.
So that's like you coming for Christ, you know you need Christ, but some people just that lonely out there, and it's like let me go. They want relationship, friendship. So when they stop hanging, they really stop coming to church. I don't understand. I understand it now, but it's but it's just crazy because it's crazy.
I've seen it where I've seen it where people they're going through a situation in their life and they don't come to church, and I think if we would just realize, just like when something go wrong with your car, like I remember one time my radio just stopped working, and I know my cigarette lighter stopped working. So the first thing I did.
Stop smoking.
Okay, yeah, the cigarettes.
You don't even smoke.
But no, he don't know what he's talking about. But no, my cigarette lighter stopped working. So the first thing I did, I went to my owner's manual. And the thing is that because the owner manual will tell you that this car is supposed to be able to do this, do that, and it can handle this and handle that. And it's like, men, we got to understand that God is the owner's manual. It's like, we're called to do so much. Mm-hmm. We're called to be fathers and husbands and leaders. But when things don't work right, you got to go to the owner's manual. And, we were saying that, sometimes men feel like it's not necessary, but a doctor will tell you if you exercise, your life will improve. They'll tell you that if you do certain things, your win may be better. Jumping rope will help men, married men help with your win and everything. I mean, but you got to go to your owner's manual, to help you enjoy that life better, and all the things that's put on us. The relationship with God will show you how to handle it. So we want to thank Pastor Tony Smith of Victorious Ministries for sponsoring Man Up. Once again, God bless. Good night.
I get them to think big, but I ain't talking Biggie Smalls. Talking about big houses, rooms with long halls, from rooms with no room to a room that hold cars.
This is Pastor Tony Smith. I hope that you enjoyed what we had to offer you today. Stay close to the network. Stay close to see what God is doing. God is an incredible God. I'm Pastor Tony Smith from Baltimore, Maryland, and we are concerned about your destiny. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Could never be compared to them, cause the money and the fame, all the same, it came through them. The kingdom and its righteousness is what we are pursuing. Big is just a word, I think it becomes a verb. That means I put it to action, break it down in a fraction. Thinking plus big, that's the way that I live. Get a clue, one more chance, what I'm referring to. Think big.
Everything we doing for the Lord, we do it big. Do it like we doing it for TV, do it big.